Laugh it up, fuzzball.
You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
And then, folks, I had a moment. You enter the main room of the Millennium Falcon. We were blown away. It looks just like the movie. They have the little sick bay where Luke lays after he gets his hand cut off in Empire. They have the chessboard where R2 played Chewbacca. They have the area where Luke was taught with the training helmet to fight the remote. And you're in there for a few minutes. You're in there long enough to take a few pictures. It's a very smart move, Disney-wise, because you're there to take photos. And we weren't allowed photos, right, because our phones are in bags. But the three guys, we sat at the table. Sylvia joined us. We just sat there, just drinking it in for a moment. Oh, my God. This is all I've ever wanted. All I've ever wanted was to sit on the Millennium Falcon. And they delivered. Seeing it outside was amazing, and then being in it, quote unquote, in it, was astounding. Oh my God. And then they line you up to go on the ride, and they give you a cardboard card that signifies your seating arrangement there's a pilot, a gunner, and an engineer. Two rows of three. And they give you the card so that people aren't throttling each other. Once word gets out of, where you sit, everybody's going to want to be a pilot because that's the front seat. Nobody's in front of you. You get to physically control the vehicle to some degree. But they give you a card, and human nature is you give them a card, and that's theirs. That's their spot in the ride. And if you want to trade, you can. But if you don't, it's yours. I totally get it. It's all psychological. It's very slick, very smart. Because it takes the argument out of it. I totally get why they do it. It's genius. So you go in, and there's one last video screen of Hondo while you stand on a brass marker of where you're supposed to sit. Another clear indication of this is where you sit on the ride. Don't run to the front seat. You are an engineer. You're in the back. That's where I was. The Hondo on the screen is an actor, so it doesn't really match up to the robot we just saw, which is bizarre to me. Maybe we'll find out later it is a robot. I don't know, but it looked like an actor to me. The hallway's interesting. You're in there for a few minutes, so I was able to study it. The monitor is on a wall that's bare where you can see all the wires in it and what look like insulation. Pretty cool. These white panels all over the ceiling and walls were worn and battle damaged, and it didn't look like it had been cast that way. It really looked as if they built this and then somebody went in and roughed it up by hand. And that's pretty impressive for a hallway that is just a transition hallway. It was pretty neat. Well, then the door opens. The other guests who were just on the ride get off. They'll have poker faces because nobody's trying to spoil it for each other. And then we walked onto the Falcon cockpit. And again, these are indelible childhood moments of fantasy and dreams and illusion made real. And I looked at Bill, looked at Dave, and I was like, we made it. Oh my God, we made it. We sat in our seats, and you have to buckle up, of course, and the ride operator closed the door, and I started banging on it like Hannah. I go, she'll hold together. Hear me, baby? Hold together. Like, just everybody's doing the lines. Why? It's Han Solo's ship. This is like borrowing your dad's car. You want to be your dad. I wanted to be Han Solo. This Hondo crap is for the birds, man. I want Han Solo, Chewbacca, Boba Fett. I get it. And here it is in a nutshell, folks. It is painful to realize you are not the target audience anymore. Everybody wants to believe the world is their oyster and is catered to them, but Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is geared towards younger people who really like the new Star Wars movies, because they don't reference or pay homage at all to the original trilogy. There's very little. There's Salacious Crumb, there's the Falcon, but it's the Force Awakens Falcon. Hondo is not from the movie. He may be a weak way, but he's not from the movies. And it is a painful realization that you are no longer who the advertisers are aiming at. Because I've been the advertiser aimed for half my life. And now I'm not. It's not aimed at me. That's sobering, man. I am old. You know? I'm cruising to 50. When the hell did this happen? And why wasn't I told? You know? So the lights go out and the ride starts, and everybody's got a job to do. The pilots are actually physically affecting the movement of the vehicle. The gunners are shooting bad guys, and the engineers are supposed to shoot a harpoon cable. So the plot of it is you have to go steal fuel, which to me is absurd, because up until Last Jedi, no one ever mentioned fuel in the Star Wars universe. Nobody ever had to stop for gas. Nobody ever ran out of fuel. It just wasn't part of the equation. It was different problems. It wasn't real world problems. So you have to steal fuel, which is, you're working for a crime syndicate, you're flying the Falcon, and you're stealing fuel. That's the plot of Solo, folks. For those of you that didn't see it, that is literally the plot of the Solo movie. And why the Imagineers hung their hat on a movie that bombed. And I know this has been in production probably longer than anything, and they were like, well, this is now canon. Ships needing fuel is now canon in the Star Wars universe. So here's what you're up to. I mean, you could have been out to rescue somebody. You could have been out to blow up an outpost. Instead, we're stealing a big... Well, this is such a bad reference. The tube that the ooze comes in, the mutagen ooze comes in, that turned the turtles into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? That's what it looks like. A big giant one of those. So you fly out of Bantu. When the lights come on, the initial takeoff from Bantu was pretty cool. And I turned to Bill and I went, are you kidding me? And we're taking off and going to hyperspace. And then the plot sets in. And here's the biggest problem I had with it. First off, the pushing buttons thing is lame because it takes your eyes off the screen. And when you take your eyes off the screen, you're out of... I don't need it to be immersive like that. I'm okay just riding a ride. Again, I ain't the target audience anymore. Young people won't ride it unless they're playing an active part in it. Really? I have to be shooting something or doing something? I can't just ride in the Millennium friggin' Falcon? No, you have to be doing something. So you're supposed to, whenever these buttons light up, push them. So all I did was watch the movie and push the buttons all at once with my hand. I never looked at the buttons. I don't care about the buttons. I ended up getting 75% because apparently the ride even keeps score for some reason. Okay, remember how I said Star Tours looks photoreal? Because the path of the ship that you're on never changes. So the images are fully rendered because you only see them from that angle. Because of the Falcon's ability to move left and right and up and down, the images on the screen are not fully rendered because they're being rendered as you fly based on your movement. So guess what? They're not photoreal. It looked like a PlayStation cutscene. the stuff on where, I don't know where we went. It wasn't Coruscant. I don't know where it was. But we're chasing a train. The train from Solo, we're chasing it, and we're shooting it, and we're getting the fuel, and whatever. But it didn't look crisp. It looked like it was being rendered in real time. Have you ever seen Crush? Crush renders in real time. Crush is a predetermined set of movements that the operator is directing it to go based on the audience's questions. So there's a little bit of lag, but fuzziness to the edges because they're being created as we go. And that's the problem that this one has. First off, the plot of it's lame. I don't care about fuel. I got enough problems putting gas in my car that I don't need to go on the Millennium friggin' Falcon and worry about gas. And second, it ain't crisp because we're being rendered in real time. There is a space-themed Star Wars movie that uses fuel, and it's called Spaceballs. And the fuel is liquid Schwartz. So that's all I could think of was we were out to get the liquid Schwartz for Hondo. And here's the other thing, and this is my main issue with the ride. There's an old documentary called From Star Wars to Jedi, The Making of a Saga. It's narrated by Mark Hamill. It is fantastic. I've watched it 50 times because it came on, I think it was on PBS when it first aired. Then it was on tape, and I got the tape, and I watched it a lot. And it's the full making of Return of the Jedi. It's a great movie. But it does have a moment where Mark Hamill talks about Lucas's little moments in the film where sometimes it's okay to just bask in the beauty of things. And then they show the Falcon flying through Cloud City, and it's beautiful. It's dusk, it's sunset, the Falcon is flying, and I know it's a model, I know it's not real, but my imagination soars with it. And that's the issue I have with Smuggler's Run, is that it's so frenetic and so fast that you're never, you get 5 seconds at the top of it to really enjoy being aboard the Falcon, and the rest of it is a screwball paced, get it done as fast as you can, faster, let's go, because otherwise we'll lose the audience. And that's not the case. That is not the case. And the other big issue is, if you remember the first Star Tours, and even the one with C-3PO, but Captain Rex was there to elevate the situation. He'd go, comets, comets! And then there's comets. But he didn't say, we're going into the comet, and now we're turning left, and we're going to dive. He doesn't do all that. He screams and yells and pushes the action forward. And the problem with Smuggler's Run is that Hondo talks the entire ride. He doesn't shut up. Take off from Bantu. Now go forward. Turn right. Move ahead. Try to deflect it. It's not too late. To whip it. Whip it good. And he goes, now fire. Now shoot the harpoons. Get the coaxium. All right, we have the coaxium. Go back to bed. Like, dude, shut up. You told us what we're supposed to do. Let us do it. It's like if the Google Maps app wouldn't shut up ever. Turn right at the light. I said turn right. Turning right. You are turned right. Turn left. Turning left. You have, okay, turn right. I got it. Let's do it. Let's go. Get it. Okay, here we go. Somebody shut this guy up. So, it wasn't, nothing, very little in life lives up to hype. The Smuggler's Run ride did not live up to it. It's a fun ride, but it's not great. It's not groundbreaking. It's made for another audience. I totally get that. It's not made for me. It's not original trilogy. It's not even new trilogy. It's just side mission referencing stuff from Last Jedi and Solo. Okay, that's what you want to make. Okay. And then the weirdest part was the exit is quite long with no music. The exit tunnel was completely silent. I turned to David and Bill and I said, "Where's the music? Star Tours ends with a fanfare. You've done it." This one just like, okay, that way out. Oh, okay, time to go. And then you left. But, I mean, what are you going to do? We walked out front. We got our picture taken in front of the Falcon from the Disney photographers. But I noticed there was a lot of people just standing around. Because without the Rise of the Resistance ride, there ain't much to do in Galaxy's Edge. Well, unless you have really deep pockets. I didn't do the lightsaber thing because it's $215 for a lightsaber. I can't afford that. We went into the Imperial shop. They had I saw Captain Rex, the doll I wanted. It's a robot that's a Bluetooth speaker and has Paul Rubin's voice, but it's $150. And even with David's cast member discount, I can't afford it. It's all very high end. They had a $25,000 R2 unit. They had a $7,000 suit of Stormtrooper armor. It's all very expensive. We walked by the cantina. Can't get in the cantina. There's only 6 tables and a bar, and the line was an hour and a half with a 2-drink minimum. Now, after I left, the group I was with got to go in and said it was pretty cool, but I didn't get to go in. The line is too long. I didn't get to go to the restaurant. I just didn't have time. A lot of it was based on time. I totally get that. We did try the blue milk. David was kind enough to buy a blue and a green milk for us to sip and to sample. And this is where, for the first time, I saw somebody. It was one of the guests, who I assume was a cast member, who said, "Oh, Bright Suns." And the person serving went, "What?" What? didn't even repeat it back. So the blue milk is advertised as a plant-based rice milk drink, which makes it a soy horchata. It was okay. It wasn't mind-blowing. When I watch Star Wars, I will not imagine that this is what Luke is drinking. Luke is drinking blue milk. It's milk that's, colored blue. It's not an exotic drink of any kind. It's milk. The one they serve in the park is like a fancy Starbucks drink in a smaller cup for $8. It's like a courtesy cup you get somewhere to put water in. The cup was not themed. I was really disappointed. The drink was okay. They enjoyed it. I was like, okay, I wouldn't buy it. I said, all things being equal, I'd rather have a Starbucks. They have a Star Wars Bucks in Galaxy's Edge. Give them time. So after that, we went through the Droid Factory, which again is very expensive. I looked at an action figure set that was $70. I looked at a play set that was $60. The robots are $100 and up, depending on upgrades. It looked pretty cool. Looked pretty neat. There's a little bit of homage to the original Star Tours where the droid baskets used to go around. And at that point, it was pretty much time for me to go. I bought a couple of bottles of Star Wars Dasani water because the Coca-Cola products, the little thermal detonator looking things, are not available yet. And then I headed out, and a guy was kind enough to cut the bag open to get my phone out. So, again, I'm very grateful to David for taking me. I had a great time with that group. Good friends from the improv days. We hung out. We made each other laugh quite a bit. Good friends. Good people. Star Wars Land itself, not a lot to do. If you have deep pockets and can buy every experience, I'm sure it's amazing. I'm not one of those people. When I was a kid, I'll tell you 2 quick stories. When I was a kid, my best friend's name was Carl. I still have him on Facebook. Carl Harmon was my brother from another mother guy. We hung out and we stayed at each other's houses. Carl built a tree house that we lived in one summer. Everywhere we went, we were either Luke and Han Solo or Batman and Robin. And Carl's big thing back in the day was the drinks had to match. So when we were Batman and Robin, he drank Diet Dr. Pepper because it came in a blue can, and I drank Dr. Pepper because it came in a red can, and that was our Batman colors. Carl's mother, who was a saint, made us blue milk. She took milk and she put blue food coloring in it, and we drank blue milk all day. And to me, that was blue milk. We didn't need a big corporate kitchen to concoct some lame soy-based, chunky, flowery drink to tell me that's blue milk. What they're serving is a frozen drink that they're charging a premium for. I didn't drink it, and I didn't drink it and get transported to another planet. I wasn't on Tatooine. It was a novelty at best. The green one tastes better than the blue one, but I would never really buy them. And I didn't feel like I was having a moment of living Star Wars like that. So it didn't really mesh. The other thing is, when I was old enough to have a birthday party theme that I picked, because my mother we had a pirate party once and a couple others that I remember way back when. But once Star Wars came out, that's all I ever wanted was Star Wars birthdays. Birthdays were Star Wars. The idea that you would have a birthday that was not Star Wars, completely alien to me. But if your relatives went to Toys R Us, and that's where most people went to buy birthday presents. My mom liked to shop at Kmart, but Toys R Us was the go-to place for birthday presents. In the Star Wars section, they also had other toys. They had this line of space dolls from Ideal that looked like Star Wars toys. The C-3PO was a silver robot body with a green alien head. The Darth Vader was a round-headed figure. And there was also a fake R2. And these were made to capitalize on Star Wars and to fool those people who didn't know what they were buying. So, on your birthday, the people that bought you the Star Wars figures were heroes. And the aunt that got you these, they were like Zeroids or Zoids or something. The people that bought these, you hugged and said thank you. But when they left, you're like, this isn't Star Wars. This kind of looks like Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. And that's my impression of Galaxy's Edge. It looks like Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars, but it's not my Star Wars. I ain't the demographic anymore. Younger generations are. This is made for younger generations. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. There's no walk around Luke, no walk around Darth Vader. Nothing like that. It's all new stuff except for Chewbacca. And even he didn't stop to say hello. They're going to sell this as the end-all, be-all Star Wars experience, but it's missing some key pieces. And their weird fixation on copying Harry Potter, because everything that Wizarding World of Harry Potter has, Star Wars has a counterpart. You know, they have a wand experience, we have a lightsaber experience. They have butterbeer, they have blue milk, the yada da 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 da. And the immersiveness of Wizarding World is that it takes place on a certain day. You're there on the Dragon Challenge Day of the Triwizard Cup. And that's why there's no Voldemort, because at that point Voldemort hasn't come back from the dead yet. And J.K. Rowling was very specific. Star Wars is different. They own Star Wars. They're not buying it or leasing the property from somebody. They can do whatever they want. And why they didn't make a land with everything in it, I don't understand. This weird, no, you're at Galaxy's Edge and it's this time frame and you can't have stuff from the other time frame. That's very frustrating. Because they have a land speeder. Looks just like Luke's land speeder, except it's painted blue for some reason to make sure that you know it ain't Luke's land speeder. I mean, isn't that in a nutshell? They went to all this trouble to build a land speeder, but they painted it blue to let you know it ain't Luke's land speeder. Okay, I got it. It ain't Luke's land speeder. Thanks. I understand what you're doing. I don't have to like it, though. I'm missing those elements that would have, I mean, they don't have a TIE fighter. They have some bizarre fighter I've never seen before over in the Imperial part. I don't know what that is. It's some other vehicle. The toys I had as a kid do not come to life. There are no roaming robots. There's no C-3PO walking around. No R2-D2 being controlled. Stuff that I can get at Comic-Con is not there. That's a weird part. No robots. No R2 units. I mean, you can't... Remember Push, the talking trash can? They had him walking around Tomorrowland. They can't use that same business model and put R2 units? Why not? I don't understand. Again, they have them at Comic-Con, for God's sake. And don't give me that crap about being in time frame, because you know they're going to build, or they have built, an Iron Man ride. It didn't close because Iron Man died. They still have it. When DCA opens Marvel Land next year, it's going to have an Iron Man photo op. It has to. You can't go, oh, he's dead now. We can't do that. Because you know what, brother? Cruella de Vil walks around the park and she's dead. Right? These Disney villains that they kill show up and do photo ops. It doesn't matter. This hyper-real continuity thing is frustrating. And I get it. The Imagineers all wanted to say that they made their own Star Wars. I totally get it. We're going to put our stamp on it. But in doing that, I mean, it's Jeff Goldblum. You were so excited that you didn't stop to think if you should. I mean, there's so many lessons to be learned from that Jurassic Park scene, and they didn't learn any of them. They wanted their own. I get it. And when Rise of the Resistance opened, I'm sure everything's going to change because that ride's going to be phenomenal. I totally get it. But until that point, the offerings that they have are so weirdly specific and hefty priced that it puts off a guy like me. Like, I can't dance at that party. It ain't I ain't the demographic, and that hurts. You know, there's no Princess Leia meet and greet. There's no Luke Skywalker meet and greet. There's no, you know how at Universal you can meet Donkey and it's a puppet? They could do that here with Yoda. There's no Yoda. Yoda's dead. You can't meet Yoda. Oh, why does every other franchise get a pass? And Star Wars has to have these rigid rules. I don't get it. I'm okay with bending reality a bit. If Darth Vader wants to stand next to Kylo Ren for a photo op, no one's going to get upset. You want to hire... There's a friend of mine on Facebook who looks just like old Mark Hamill. Hire him to walk around the park. I think his name's David. It's okay to do all this stuff. No one's going to get upset. Where's the Slave Leia meet and greet? Yeah, fat chance. Where's Jabba the Hutt? They could have done all these weird trilogy things. They didn't. They did a few. Little tiny ones that they could bend and say, well, that would also be in Galaxy's Edge. That's not specific to that. Like, in front of Hondo, there's an R5-D4 unit, but according to the Star Wars lore, there's a whole army of those. It's not the R5-D4. Okay, I've ranted enough. Hey, I hope you go check it out. It is amazing. You'll have a good time. You don't have to listen to me. I'm an old curmudgeon. I told you, I ain't the demographic. I've said it a million times. Your mileage may vary. Again, massive thank you to David for taking me. I had such a good time with you guys. It was... Any criticisms I had of the land were completely undone by the company that I kept. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, right? It's about friendship. It's about hanging out. It ain't about whether you like Hondo or not. Now, I did get to see one cool thing at Disneyland that I have never seen before. If you go to the very small area between the Tarzan Treehouse and the Pirates of the Caribbean queue, way in the back there's an elevator. That elevator takes you to the Disney Suite, the Dream Suite. But just to the left of that, there is a fence. And on that fence, there is a lion. And that lion is an exact duplicate of the lion from the Lion Estates sign from Back to the Future. It was made from the same mold by the same guy, confirmed by Back to the Future guru and wizard Joe Walser. He told me it was there. I was skeptical, and I'll be damned, it's there. You can see a piece of Back to the Future, Lion Estates, the lion, in the little area between the Tarzan treehouse and the Pirates Queue. How bitchin' is that? Very cool. And after that, when I left, I had a great time at Star Wars night at the Angels game. It was a good time. Rachel and I had a Sunday, and we hung out with some good friends from work, and it was a great time. And it was an overload of Star Wars on last Friday. So I throw my log into the huge burning fire of Galaxy's Edge. This is my little take on it. Your mileage may vary. Check it out. I've got a few photos from their photographers that I'm going to be able to post. There it is. May the Force be with you, or the Force will be with you always. Oh, I'm exhausted. And I'm trying to remember, I had all these thoughts I wanted to give about this thing. Because, I don't usually review things. I just did. We do family roundtables where everybody can contribute and you take a break and can think about things. Oh, yeah, I need to mention that. When I do a solo show, it's all got to be there. I don't really have notes. So, there it is. Bantu, man. It's Bantu with Hondo and Blue Milk. I went in the bathroom. I went in the space bathroom, which looked just like our bathroom, except the sensors on the sink didn't work. And I waved my hands like a music conductor to try to get the water to work. And it took 4 spigots before I found one that worked. There you go. I'm critiquing the sink. Hey, I'm Jeff Tucker. This is 91 Reasons, powered by Hyperfuel.
Thanks for listening. By Graham Thar's Hammer. We'll be back with another episode. Live long and prosper. May the Force be with you. So say we all. Hey, hey, hey.